I know we said we were going to start at 12 because people want to be here by 12:30. If you can give people about 5 minutes, and I'm sure once it's here, it'll take us less than 20 minutes. So it is on its way. It should be here in the next 5 minutes. Somebody's walking from wherever it's been printed in Mark's building or somewhere across here. Yes, ma'am.
Chair, can we in the meantime discuss what does not necessarily need the document?
All right. Yeah. I mean, there's only one issue, honorable members, and I'll give you my view just from the top of my head because time is of the essence. In terms of where to from here, we did explain the process. If adopted in the next 15 minutes or whenever, we plan to send the document without recommendations to the affected parties, give them until the 16th of February to return their comments. From the 17th to the 22nd, we'll have to process those comments, incorporate them, discard them, or whatever the case might be. On the 23rd, no, on the 21st on the 21st, we will sit, analyze, incorporate, do whatever we need to do with those documents. With the responses. On the 22nd, we will then present a document having incorporated responses from affected parties on the 22nd and adopt the report. After adoption, of course, it will then go to the House and we would have met our 28 deadline. Let me repeat. Later today, we will send the report, draft report, to the affected parties and afford them until the 16th of February to make their comments. On the 16th of February will be closing date for any comments. So strictly speaking, from the 17th of February all the way up to the 21st of February, we will consider those comments, incorporate them into the report, give you that report, and on the 22nd we will reconvene to adopt. So in other words, we will have a meeting on the 21st, we as a committee, and we'll have a meeting on the 22nd. Is that very clear, honorable members? Okay. What we need to discuss whilst we're waiting for the report is just who we need to send them out to. Now, my proposal, on my understanding, is as follows, and Cindy and those that are more cleverer than I will correct me. My understanding is that it's going to be sent out to the SABC board. In other words, we'll address it to the GCEO. We will send it out to the minister. We will send it out to Dr. Ngubane. And we will send it out to Ms. Ellen Shabalala. We will also, if it is legally acceptable and also possible, submit the report as for noting to the NA. No. Or we'll just put it on the website. So just to repeat, GCEO for the board, the minister, Dr. Ngubane, because he asked for it specifically, Ms. Ellen Shabalala, and we will put it out on the ANC, on the parliamentary website. And when we put it out on the parliamentary website, we'll have to find a mechanism of notifying South Africans that they can, the media and everybody else, that they can access it from the parliamentary website, because there might be other people like Right to Know or anybody else that would want to respond to the actual body of the report. On the 16th, we will close off any responses. Probably make those responses available to yourselves whilst we try and incorporate them into a document. On the 21st, we will present to you a document where we think, or even if we put all the various submissions for your consideration, on the 22nd we'll finalize the report. That's the process. And that's the intended target market, for want of a better word. So we'd want from you direction in terms of, are we sending it out to the relevant people? Are we ensuring that everybody who needs to comment will have a fair opportunity to access it and make comments and return it to us? And then for us to proceed from the 21st and the 22nd, if people could talk to those points, and again we could start here and go all the way around. Just briefly on is that the way to go? Mr. Singh.
Yeah, 30 seconds, Chairperson. You see, your last statement where you say we're going to put it on the website means we're making it public. So that's the bottom line, it's public, right? But then specifically when you say affected parties, my view should be anybody who is testified either in writing or made oral submissions should receive it particularly to make comments. And then you can do the public thing. But it's everybody who's made a comment to this committee, testified. I'm covered, sir.
It's about the issue of who we're sending the document to. Yes. Well, those particularly, obviously, the SABC that we undertook, we would send it to. And then there were one or two, Dr. Ngubani and the Minister, obviously. And then one could also just publish it for general comment on the web page. Those, unless one then goes through the process of identifying anyone in the report who is indicated. But that up front, those are the people that asked for the document. Thank you, Chair.
Chair, I strongly agree with the sorry, with the transparency that you are putting forward by publishing it for everybody. I'm sorry, Chair, for the conspiracy side. So I also agree with the fact that everybody who testified must get a report, and also the management as well. My tongue slip, like you said, it will be given to the ANC.
Yes, Chairperson. I would also like to argue that where we have made reference to former board members, in fact, those who testified before us should all receive a copy, because although they're not mentioned by name, clearly they have given input, and we've come to a specific position, and we've made certain observations. You can see we're tired, Chairperson. So when we're not busy with suspicions or with, can I just ask you, I'm just a little concerned about the timeline. Chairperson, I would strongly argue that 2 weeks should be adequate time. And is it not more than 2 weeks? Because today is Friday the 27th. Okay. Chair, I'm concerned that we may solicit quite a lot of comment. And in working through that, it could place us under extreme pressure. So I'm just alerting the committee, should we not perhaps just make it 2 or 3 days earlier, because obviously the capacity of the staff to go through it and to make sure that some is just general comment, but others would be very important comment to consider. So I'm concerned about that. You know, if we receive it so late, it could place us under time pressure. Thank you. Chairperson, I think we should possibly reconvene a little earlier, and perhaps just consider if we can make the cut-off time, say for instance the 15th, and then to go through that. We can have a morning meeting. I know it's the SONA debate in the afternoon, but if we can then go through it and see what is very important to adjust the findings and the evidence before we proceed. I'm concerned about that. Thank you.
Agreed, Chair. But I think what we should request is the practice that we've always had, that whenever they get the reports, submissions, they immediately email it to members.
Thanks, Chair. Chair, I support the view that let's send it to those who testified. Thanks.
I am covered, Chair.
Very much covered, Chair.
Thank you very much. Honourable members, we've got the document that is marked interim draft, interim report, draft V4. Doesn't mean Vincent, but it says V4. Is that okay? Unless there's a conspiracy somewhere. Page number 1. I am now, okay. Sorry, let's take Singh first.
Chair, may I propose adoption up to the end of Part D of the entire report? Thank you. Instead of going page to page? Yeah.
Proposal that we adopt the entire report without going through page by page assumes that me and Cindy captured correctly what you guys have been arguing earlier this morning. Dr. Koza and then Prof.
I second.
And Prof Mahlangu. Just like Professor Mahlangu, I second.
Chair, I just want to advise us that because there was a mistake in the morning copy of writing it as V4, let's write, even if we use our hands, that this is the second version. There was a mistake in the morning copy. It was identified as V4.
This one is
We'll come to you. Sorry, sir. All right. Let's take Honorable Mokoena, and then I want members to turn to page 46. Honorable Mokoena.
Trying to find my place in the document. Maybe come back to me after 1 minute.
All go to page 46, 1711. What Cindy is whispering in my ear is, in fact, remember we argued did the minister respond at all or didn't respond. Remember that was the one that we spoke about silent. Interpretation of that highlighted part indicates that the minister did indeed respond. We might not be comfortable with her responses. That's taken from the transcripts. We've got the response from it. So, indeed, the minister did respond. We're not debating whether her responses were acceptable or not. We were trying to deal with the question, the minister was silent. So what we are saying is the minister did respond. Now we can argue the veracity of whether her responses were acceptable or not. And in our document, me and Cindy, we are saying the responses were inadequate. That's our subjective view. Members must, I think the word that is important is inadequate. But the minister did respond. So can we look at that one and agree? First of all, let's dispel the notion that she did not respond. And then in terms of her response, we subjectively said inadequate. But members might want to take it out because it might be dicey. So that's the only point I want us to discuss before we go to formal adoption, and then we'll come back to your points, sir, in terms of the other one you wanted to raise. Let's take Mukwena, let's take Kubisi, and let's take Loliwe. Kubisa.
Okay. No, I just need clarity. When you say she did respond, are we saying she responded to the question, or she responded to the debacle at the SABC?
I think that's a fair question. Let me read from the transcripts. It starts with Mr. Mukwena. No, that's fine, ma'am. I'll take your answer for now. Let me just get back to the board. The board of the SABC, Parliament calls it to come to an ad hoc committee. They go on some press thing and they say in public that they are not going to come to Parliament. What was your role? What did you then do? Did you not find it as a shareholder to pull them in line and say you have to go to Parliament? End of Mukwena. Minister's response, I think on that one, if you want me to express the view that, express a view on that one, that has got nothing to do with me as a shareholder, and I think the SABC is best placed to respond to that question, Honourable Member. Minister's response. You follow up, ma'am, I'm putting it to you, right. The matter of the board, the dwindling of the board membership of 9 people to now 1, is not a matter that concerns you. The fact that the state-owned entity has lost in excess of 100 million is not your responsibility. The fact that they do not comply with the rules of this country is not your issue. What is your issue? I mean, what is your responsibility to the SABC? End of Mukwena. Minister's response, you see, when the board members resigned, I advised the appointing authority to ask Parliament to fill the vacancies. That was done, and I've said that to show you, that was done, and I've said that to show you that it's my concern. That was the concept of the points that were raised.
So, yeah, it further proves my point that...
Sorry?
The point that was being made in that input was that she did not respond to a rebellious board. And in her answer, she does not tell us if she did anything. And she was asked directly. So I think the original statement was correct to say that she was silent. We haven't received any evidence whatsoever of her saying anything or doing anything. She was completely silent, and that evidence, I think, is further proof. Because she says no, it must be relegated to the SABC. Thanks, Chair.
Prior also, I was going to say let's hear the transcript, but we have read the transcript. From the transcript, it appears the minister never responded to the question. I'll say the answer we're getting there is not inadequate according to what is written here. There is no answer there.
Chair, I'm helped by your transcripts. To me, it was a response which was not necessarily adequate.
Yes, Chairperson, I think it would be wrong to say that she did not. If she did not say anything, or she said, I'm not going to answer that question, but she did. She said, it's the board, etc., etc. So that did not satisfy the committee. So I would like to argue that we keep the minister's inadequate response when asked her views on the former board chairperson and the SABC senior management. I don't like the word treatment, Chairperson. I hope you will allow me to just suggest something different. Can we say blatant disregard for Parliament and the parliamentary process? Blatant disregard, because there is a better word. I know it's not only disregard, it's contempt. Contempt. Blatant contempt for Parliament and the parliamentary process. Because I think that brings the context within which the questioning took place. So I would like to argue that we keep the response, but it was inadequate. Seeing that this board treated Parliament with contempt and there was not really any real seriousness from the side of the minister to respond to that.
Any other views that members would want to? Because remember, we were trying to get to a point where we adopt this report. No other views, and Honourable Mokoena?
No, Chair, I'm looking at the input now, and I'm thinking this is not the input that I gave. Is it the one 17.1.1?
Remember 17.1.1, there was a point where we said the minister was silent.
Yes. No, the silence. If
that's
you look,
the point. We're just discussing
yeah,
that.
We're just discussing that point. Yeah. No, that's fine. And I don't want to drag this thing too long. If you look at the at my original input, right? The silence that I was talking about is not to the question, but she was silent to the saga, the debacle of a rebellious. Because if you even go back to the transcripts as they've just been read now, the question I asked her is, what did you do in order to, I'm paraphrasing, but in order for you to rein in a rebellious SABC, which is your responsibility as a shareholder? Because what she was supposed to do when they went on that press conference to say that they are not going to come to Parliament and so on and so forth, it was her responsibility to then say to them that no, you are accountable to Parliament. And her silence on that issue is what I was referring to, not silence to the question. Am I making myself clear? So if you go back to the original input that I made, it wasn't to the question. It was to a rebellious board that, yeah.
Let me read what we had put in this morning or later on, which we added. The minister's silence in relation to the former board chairperson and the SABC senior management's treatment of a parliamentary committee has been noted with extreme concern. That's what we had put this morning. And then Honourable Swart said, is it actually accurate to say silence? Because that was the word that we were looking at. Honourable Swart raised that. Is silence an accurate reflection? That was the discussion this morning. This is an attempt to respond to Mr. Swart's specific question, is it accurate to say silence?
Yes, but silence to what?
Yeah, no, I hear what you're saying. I'm just trying to bring everybody up to speed because you keep on saying that report. So, either way, honourable members, all these things that we put here are open to dispute by all the parties. They are open to dispute by all the parties. So this is not the gospel. but we're trying to be as accurate as possible in our document that we're sending to them. Any way to assist us? Honorable Mokoena still insists that we revert back to this one that I just read. Mahlangu and then Chauke.
Chair, I support Mr. Mkwena. And to add that instead of the other word that we use contempt, because I think it is an appropriate action that the board did.
Okay, then you can sponsor later.
I think what Mahlangu has just covered me, Chair, because they.
I wanted to sponsor. Carry on.
Okay. The issue that was expected, Chair, was the action that the minister will have taken. So generally, it's the failure of the minister to intervene when there was rebellious. So the issue of silent, in fact, it can just fall away, but it's a failure to intervene because the question wants to know what action have you taken. That's the question that Honorable Mokoena is asking the minister. So the minister did not take action. So therefore, it's not a question of silence, it's a question of failure to take action when she's required to do so.
I thought before I sponsor anything, let me just consult Honorable Mokoena, and he feels that I'm still not addressing the issue. I think Honorable Chauke has now put his hand or his finger on it. Perhaps if you just allow me, I will quickly just reword that to say, but can I just quickly think about it? Okay.
No, sir, before I go, I wanted to say, should there be a need for a vote? Maybe I ask.
Failure to take action.
So committee further notes the minister's failure to take action.
That's correct.
In response to whatever.
That's correct.
Okay. Honorable Singh's disappeared. Oh. Okay. With the change of those words on page 18.
Just one quick thing.
Yes.
But it's a spelling thing. Are we considering spelling issues?
If you got it up front, we can do it quickly.
Yeah, it's on page 30. It's that my input, but it's a spelling thing. If yeah, instead of cover, no 30. Yeah, 37. It says requested to gov instead of cover. Yes.
Okay. No, all right. No, it's fine. 1, 2, 2, 4, 6, 7, 8. We're fine. We've got a quorum. Honorable members, interim report draft V4 in brackets, as amended on the 27th of February 27, from page 1 up to and including page 54. Up to the observations, I beg your pardon, which was page what? But why? Up to page. Up to page 47. Let me repeat. From page 1 up to and including page 47 on the top, paragraph 19. So from the page 1 up to paragraph 19 on 47 on the top. I'm putting that entire document to this committee for adoption as our interim report that will then be sent out to the affected parties as agreed upon earlier on. Can I have an indication of support for that position? Can I have an indication of anybody opposed to that condition? Anybody opposed to that condition? No, you guys have seconded it. Anybody opposed to us sending out from page 1 to the top of page 47? We're all in agreement as a committee that that is the text that will go out. You want to show of hands? Okay. Somebody is saying we need somebody to formally move. Honorable Olive, somebody to second. Honorable Chauke, and the whole House is in agreement that we send from page 1 to page 47.19. So that will then be, with the amendment now affected on that point that we've made, plus the spelling error, will be sent out to the parties that we've agreed upon, including everybody that has been called. That we will do between today and whenever we're done, and you yourselves could go and check it on the website probably tomorrow or Monday or so. We will reconvene. Honorable Killian, you said earlier you haven't given us a date. We will have to reconvene to consider that as a committee and start working towards the final. Nobody has given us an indication when is that earlier date. If somebody could give us so that they can go and ask for permission.
Honourable Chair, actually I did mention the date. It's the 15th. I have suggested the 15th or the 14th so that we can start working whatever we have.
Just for clarity, we will allow people until the 16th to submit, but nothing stops us from working from the 14th with whatever information we've received. All right? So deadline will be the 16th for submissions. This committee, Cindy, will reconvene on the 14th to start going through some of those that we've already received, culminating on the 22nd with the adoption of the report. I hope that's clear to all South Africans and to all members, and it's agreed to. Yes, Prof.
I'm sure, Chair, you still take note of the fact that on the 14th and the 15th, it will be a response to the SONA.
It'll just be the morning.
Okay.
No, it'll be the morning session. We won't interfere with SONA. We will make sure that it's in the morning, 14th and 15th, and whenever. But we are cognizant that there will be responses to. And we had asked earlier on, those that will be reporting to SONA, please don't prepare on the morning of the 14th and 15th and then be absent and say that we never allowed you to participate. So we will plan accordingly. All of us will be participating one way or the other. So just to wrap up, honorable members, and to our friends who have walked this journey with us, a report will go out that has been adopted, duly adopted by this House, that will exclude the recommendations. That report will go out at the end of the day, today or as soon as possible, to all the names that were mentioned. In essence, everybody that gave testimony, including the Minister, will be given this document. They will be asked to respond to us by the 16th of February at the latest. This committee will reconvene if permission is given by the powers that be from the 14th, and on the 22nd we will adopt and submit it to Parliament, and Parliament will then do with it whatever Parliament deems fit to do with it. I omitted to indicate that Honourable Kwankwa, and in fact also Honourable Swartz, had indicated before we left that they might not be here. So it's not a walk out from Kwankwa and everybody else. They had given us a report. I just omitted to say that earlier on. At this point, honourable members, thank you very much, and to all our friends in the media, to our friends from the legal unit and all other support units, thank you very much, and to interested parties. We've done the best that we can. We will await responses from the parties that receive, and we will continue on the 14th. Hopefully by the 28th our report will be at Parliament, and we'll have to go and defend our position at Parliament on the 28th. Thank you very much. We want to formally then adjourn business of this ad hoc committee until the 14th of February. Notwithstanding everything else that we're going to try and get hold of the Minister of Police and all those type of things. That will happen whilst we're doing all other business. Can we close at that happy note? Thank you very much.